Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain,
I'm Lynn.
and today we are doing a Cull video. This is October of 2023. We haven't done one of these for a while, and we realized we were running out of space for the new games we've been reviewing. After we're done reviewing them, we didn't have room in the shelves. So stuff had to go because you can only collect a collection large enough that you have space for it.
Yes.
And also, this is Lynn's favorite type of video to film because she likes to clear out excess clutter and be able to organize everything. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Lynn has actually organized the entire game collection via various categories. Like, we have one shelf that is all good for newbies to gaming, and one shelf that's all two-player games.
Icebreaker bookcase.
The Icebreaker book. You also have like one that's mostly like to-be-played games, kind of like a shelf of shame, or not played enough kind of thing. But we were able to actually pull out a lot from the collection this time. We needed to make a lot of space. And surprisingly, I thought it was going to be harder than it was. We actually got a lot of stuff here. Some of them were hard decisions because a lot of these are good games. But they're good games that don't hit the table anymore for one reason or another. And I guess we're going to go over all that. Does that make sense? Do you have anything to say about this?
No.
So do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first.
Okay, so what's the first game that we are culling here?
Okay, so the first one I have is Trollfest. We did like this.
We reviewed it, actually. There's a
Yeah.
full review and tutorial on the channel.
We liked it, but I mean, like, we didn't like it enough to play it all the time.
I liked this more than you did.
Yeah.
I remember I did, but the thing is, like, you liked it, but you were saying, we were talking about it, I said, oh, I think I might want to hold on to this because it's a really good intro-level game, and then what did you say?
I said we have an entire bookcase of intro-level games, and there's no game on there that we would choose to play this over.
So even though it's good, it's at this collection, our entire collection, at this point in our collecting process, our entire collection is mostly good games. We don't hold on to crap games anymore at all, and it now is like a tooth and nail fight for the games to prove themselves as to what's going to be able to survive in the collection every time a Cull comes around. And unfortunately, I guess Trollfest didn't make the cut, huh? Anything else you want to say on Trollfest since it was your pick to pull?
Not really.
I mean, it's a fun game. It's a
Yeah.
fun little game where you're doing like a rock and roll tour with some supernatural monsters, basically.
Yeah.
Which was very amusing. So my first pick to pull is Zoo Year's Eve. Now this is another one we did a little review and tutorial. This is a little kind of travel wallet game with cards. It's very tiny. This is super light, and it wasn't exactly taking up a lot of space. But again, this is a very intro level game that does not hit the table enough. It really doesn't. And it's really just, even though it's not taking up much space, it's just taking up space right now. So as cute as I find it, it's a fun, tiny little game. Something similar to, say, like Cockroach Poker would be a more popular game that people might be able to compare this to. We decided to get rid of it. Maybe someone else will get more enjoyment out of it than we've been getting. Anything you want to say on Zoo Year's Eve?
No.
All right, you go ahead. What's the next one?
The next one is Magical Treehouse. We got this at an AEG game night, and we never played it. We don't think we're ever going to play it.
It just the cover art and everything doesn't call to us, so we've kept saying, oh, we got to play it before we get rid of it, but then it's never hit the table.
Yeah, it's been years.
Yeah. So we just decided, what the hell, we're not going to play it. Let's get rid of it. The next is another one that was a struggle for me to get rid of because it is a good game, and that is the Liberation of Rberg. We played this a few times. We played this a few times to be able to do the review for it. It's like a semi-cooperative thing where you're defending a castle. We did a full review and tutorial if you want to check out how it plays. It is a good game, but I think I was the highest on it. Everyone else in our player group wasn't as high as me. And because of that, it hasn't really... since our plays to do the review, it hasn't hit the table again. So it's kind of taken up space. And then we've got some more recent adventure, dungeon crawling, semi-cooperative type games that kind of fill this niche better. Like when we just reviewed, what is that one that we just reviewed? Also from Trick or Treat Studios. It was
Oh, it was like Shadowgate or something?
yeah, Shadowgate: The Living Castle, which we really liked, and I think would probably hit the table over the Liberation of Rberg right now. But anyway, that's I mean, because that's just how it is. So, what do we got?
I have Planetoid.
So this one had like a memory type aspect where you're like flipping up tiles.
Yeah, on the back it has like, it's like a planet, and you have to
Find resources.
find resources by flipping up the little cardboard pieces.
I actually liked this one. I thought it was pretty good.
It was fine. I don't.
But it's obviously one that you're not
Yeah.
not gaga over, not wanting to.
Like, I think we played it only once or twice, and like every time I saw it on the shelf, I was like, "What's that game? Have we ever played that?" Like, it's just forgettable to me for some reason.
All right, fair enough. All right, so for my next one, I've got here Gambit of Kings. So this was a game that I reviewed. I was rather disappointed in. They never came out with the expansions that they kind of promised were going to allow you to customize the forces. Instead, they just kept coming out with these mini expansions that just changed how you played the game, and not necessarily for the better. It was supposed to be like basically chess, where you had different units that you could customize the two armies and have asymmetrical armies. Except that it never really filled its promise. So I was very disappointed in it, and away it goes. You're up.
Okay, so my next one is Dead Drop.
Dead Drop Deluxe from the infamous Crash Games, which no longer exist.
Why are they infamous?
Oh, there was a big scandal. The creator embezzled a bunch of money and stuff. They know this is part of why they no longer exist.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I bought this a while ago. We played it a couple times. I don't actually remember much about it, and that's pretty much why we're getting rid of it.
It was a pretty light game. There wasn't a lot to it, and the deluxe version, really all it added was a bunch of different decks of cards that did the exact same thing as the main deck, but with different themes on it. So it was like, it's not really more play. It's just, it is what it is. All right, so the next one I've got on my pile here it was a re-release of Talisman that I never even opened. I had a lot of nostalgia for Talisman back in the day, but the truth is the mechanics are very dated. It's got roll and move. And generally speaking, I found myself not actually motivated to open it and play it ever. It's been sitting in the collection for years unopened because there are newer games that does what it did better. And I really just bought it on a nostalgia, on a nostalgia trip kind of thing. So yeah, it's gonna go away.
Okay, my next one is Stones of Fate, which is another game that I bought. We played a couple times and then have forgotten about for literal years at this point.
Yeah, it hasn't hit the table in years. I don't even remember how it played. The next one was a review copy, and there is a review and tutorial on this. We were sent Rise Mafia Empire. It was a fun little game from the Game Crafter. We did a review and tutorial. The mechanics were solid, but there were some issues. The biggest issue was that the asymmetrical player powers for the factions were not terribly balanced. And we had some expansions that added more factions in, but we never really got around to trying them because of the issues I think we had with the game. So at this point, I think I'm just gonna pass it on to someone else to enjoy it. Because again, with all of these, we're not saying they're bad games, and someone else might get more fun out of it than we did. So yeah.
Next is In Between. There's like nothing on the box to tell you anything about the game. And
this was your purchase, and we played it, and you were just not thrilled. I think. It kind of has like a very like Stranger Things vibe.
It looks like like the front of the box is like 1950s, and then the back of the box is all like weird alternate messed up version.
Yeah, I remember it being okay, but you were very underwhelmed by it. So I do remember that, and then never hit the table again. And this is one we played a few times when I got it. This was Zeppelin Attack. And I remember it being fun, but It wasn't stand out enough to continue to hit the table years later. In fact, at this point, this is another one. I don't think it's hit the table in literal years. I do not think this has hit the table in probably at least 4 years. So Lynn pulled it out and goes, "What about Zeppelin Attack?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it really hasn't. It hasn't hit the table." All right, so away it goes.
There was only like 10 or 15 games that we consistently play.
No, that's not true at all. Because we're always trying new games.
Yeah, but I mean consistently. I mean that we play over and over again.
You mean like how I always play BattleTech?
Yeah.
Or like how we would always do it. Like if we had the time, could do a weekend, we would definitely pull out Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not talking about like a game you play a couple times to do a review and then never look at again.
Okay. Well, all right, fair enough. There are ones I do want to get out again, but these are ones where I'm like, yeah, I probably aren't going to get them out again.
Well, my next one is Professor Pugnacious's Portfolio of Perils, Pugilism, and Perfidy.
Now, you bought this because of the title alone.
Yeah.
You literally, because you thought the title was hilarious with all the alliteration.
I still think it's hilarious, but I honestly don't remember anything about the game. We did play it a couple times.
It's a deck builder.
Okay.
And it's a deck builder where there's like a conveyor belt mechanic where the cards that you can draft move around the table, but you can only draft them when they're in front of you, so they have to pass by.
Oh, yeah, now I remember that. Yeah.
And I mean, it was fine. It wasn't like the best deck builder ever, but it was fine. And we did play it, but we haven't played it again now probably for years. It just hasn't hit the table in a while. The next one was another review copy I had done a review and tutorial on called Microscopic. Very light little game with a fun scientific theme of being able to evolve these little organisms and such. I liked this game, but it's super light. And super light games have a tendency to lose my interest after a handful of plays, even if they're good. Because it's like, there's not a lot of depth to them. They're very light. They can be good, but super light games can't be deep. Does that make sense? So, it was... I played it out. I played it enough. Someone else will get to play it. You know, it's a good one for someone to pick up who has kids, because it's super light. Very. I think, what did they put for the age record? Oh, that's ridiculous. They said ages 14 and up. No, that could go a lot younger than that.
Okay. The next one is Jarl. So this is a version of the Duke. And the thing is that...
Viking themed.
Yeah, it's just a Viking themed version of the Duke, which they do have different tiles than the Duke. But we both prefer the Duke to this. So
This doesn't hit the table.
There's never a day where we're like, oh, let's play Jarl. We're always just like, let's play the Duke.
We will still play... Well, you know what the big problem is? So the tiles are different. You can play a Jarl side versus the Duke side, but the expansion tiles for the Duke can only be played with the Duke. Because of that, and how you usually like to play one of the expansions, like either Robin Hood or King Arthur, when we do the Duke, we cannot play those with Jarl.
Yeah.
So I feel like Jarl, if it didn't already have a handicap because we like the Duke pieces better, it has a further handicap because you can't play the Duke expansions with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we were just like, we have this, and we don't really need it anymore. But you know what? Someone who's never played either the Duke or Jarl who picks this up will have a lot of fun with it. I don't think they wouldn't. So, my next one is Odins Ravens, a fun little racing game that I did enjoy. But you know, there's not a lot to it. Again, it's a one where it's very light. It's just a racing game. You're each playing one of Odin's Ravens, and you manipulate the board a little bit. You move it around to mess with the racetrack. You try to race from point A to point B. There's not a lot to it. Perfectly fine game, but not a lot of depth. So you play it out after only a couple of plays, because then you're like, oh, every game is fairly similar to the last game. There's not really a lot of variation, even though the terrain tiles are random and are varied, and you can manipulate the board. It all starts feeling the same. So, right?
Yeah.
My
next one is Nitwit. I bought this.
This one hurts me.
I hated it.
I love it.
Josh loved it.
But I don't get to play it because Lynn hates it.
Yeah. It's like don't want to say like party game, but it's like
it's kind of a party game.
It's like it's a lighter game that plays best with like more people than not.
Yeah, because you can play up to 8 players on it, which is a lot. 8 players is a lot to get in a normal size game.
Yeah, is it 8?
Yeah,
okay.
up to 8.
Yeah, and it's just I found it it doesn't work with my brain. Like there's these strings that you gotta attach, and it just my brain just shuts down and doesn't like it.
See, I like that
It's
one a lot. That,
difficult
that
for
one
me
kind of
to
hurts me to get rid of because I do like
difficult
it.
for me to follow.
All right, so my next one was one Lynn bought for me as a joke. This is Battleship Outer Space. This was just a joke by. It's basically Battleship, but with 3 levels. So just like regular old Battleship, it's garbage. There's nothing really to it. The 3 levels is an amusing idea, but they could have done something a little more to increase the complexity rather than just give it 3 levels. And again, you just bought it as a joke.
Well, yeah.
It was a goof.
Well, that's what you get when you tell me to buy you a present at Target.
That's exactly what happened. She's like, I'm at Target. I'm like, buy me a present. And she comes home with Battleship Outer Space. I'm like, what the hell is this? She goes, you told me to buy you a present. I'm like, all right. Fair enough. Okay, so what's next?
Okay, so
This is another one that hurts me to get rid of a little bit. It's so heavy, too.
this is Over Battle, the
All
War.
This was a cool game. It's also had really nice production.
Yeah.
The production's gorgeous.
It's just that we have other games that take 8 hours that we would rather play.
So that's the thing. This is a big old day affair. And it very much is a area control game where they thoroughly increase the complexity of the combat beyond what normal area control games would
Yeah,
have.
there's like a whole extra board for combat, right?
Which was really cool. I really liked that. But the thing is, like, Lynn, when she wants a area control game increasing complexity, she wants it brought to a 4X game. So, like, as an example, Lynn's a big fan of Twilight Imperium 4th Edition. Lynn is also a big fan of Northgard, the Uncharted Lands. Because Northgard Uncharted Lands does a lot of exploration, and Twilight Imperium does a lot of, like, politics and economics. This doesn't do any of that.
No, this is just a lot of battle.
Now, I liked the battle, but you have to have a specific mindset to be into that. And the thing is, like, I don't really have other players that liked it as much as I did. So it's, other than the games played for the review and tutorial, if I were to ask Lynn to play a game like this, she's going to ask to play Northgard or Twilight Imperium, depending on how much time we have. Would that make sense?
Yeah.
So anything else you wanted to say on Over Battle?
No, it wasn't bad.
I liked it a lot,
most
actually.
of these games, it wasn't bad.
No.
It's just, it's not going to get played.
And like I said before, these games are fighting tooth and claw with other games for shelf space. And unfortunately, this lost out, like I said, to Twilight Imperium and Northgard. So let me put that off to the side there for you. Now, my next one is a game that was taking way too much space for the fact that it's not getting played anymore. And it's got a lot of boxes. You'll see why. So this is the Call of Cthulhu, the card game. This was a living card game based off of an old collectible card game. They had basically re-released it as a living card game, and it's taking up this much space on my shelves right now because I collected quite a bit from it. And the thing was, there were 2 specific people I played this with. And I don't game with either of them anymore, is literally the bottom line. I do not game with the only people who got into this with me. So I never play this anymore. And it's taking up all this space. So I'm going to eBay it off. Or actually, I'm going to ask Lynn to eBay it off for me, because she does the eBaying. Someone will buy it as a lot. I'm going to put no minimum on it, so, because again, I don't game with any of the people that were interested in it back in the day anymore. Call of Cthulhu, the card game, is going to get offloaded as a Call of Cthulhu, the card game lot on eBay.
Okay.
I think this is your last one, right?
Yeah, it's got a bunch of things.
Yeah, this is a kind of a big one.
So we're getting rid of the 3rd edition of Twilight Imperium because
And its expansions.
we have the 4th edition now.
And what is it we were saying about the reasons here? I mean, we talked about it, but off camera. What were you? We're blocked out.
Yeah.
We're blocked out. Okay. So what were you saying? The bottom line of this.
Well, we don't play it anymore because we have the 4th edition, and that's the one we're going to play.
The thing is, so 4th edition and its first expansion. So, when we first got 4th edition, we didn't get rid of 3rd edition. There was a reason. And the reason was the base set of 4th edition didn't do the exploration mechanics that they had introduced in 3rd edition in the expansions, where you got to flip over tokens when you explored a planet or empty space. And those were great. And I was like, well, they haven't quite done that yet. But then they did in the expansion. They released the expansion, and now they have like exploration again. And it's kind of like, well, there's not really a reason to hold on to 3rd edition anymore. The only real thing I think that I can recall that they did in 3rd edition that they haven't done for 4th edition is the historical scenario where you can actually play the Lazax when the old empire is falling. But we never even did that because it was a very, asymmetrical kind of lopsided battle. The other people would be some of the lesser civilizations fighting against the Lazax, who were way more powerful. So we never actually played that out. So it wasn't something we were really interested in doing. And it's the only thing left in 3rd edition they really haven't done for 4th edition. 4th edition in general is just much more expansive and also much better streamlined. It actually plays faster. So, did I miss anything?
Shaves about 45 minutes off.
It does. It does. It really does. Well, I was going to say, actually, I would say, it can shave more than an hour off 4th edition. It really
if you
can.
have everyone knows what they're doing and no one's waffling over any decision, you can play it in like 6 hours.
Which sounds like a lot, but you got to remember most games of Twilight Imperium are 8 or more hours. And there will be people that are going to be like, oh, I get it in an hour. And it's like, no, you don't. You're a liar. That's the thing is that you always find people on the internet like, I don't know what you're talking about. I can get the game in under an hour. And it's like, the bottom line is you don't pay attention to the actual time and you're just like estimating from memory. And it's like, no, that's not how it goes. Because Twilight Imperium is a very long game. And bottom line is I love it. I loved 3rd edition, but 4th edition's better. And would we ever play 3rd edition over 4th edition?
No.
Exactly. So that is why 4th edition is getting called. Yes. Yep. All right. So final game of the Cull is again a good game, Angel Fury. I was sent this one for review. We did a full review and tutorial of it. The components are gorgeous. The gameplay is fun. It's kind of a 2-player battle strategy game where you're trying to control these like King of the Hill type spots. To gain points, basically. Angels and demons fighting each other. I wasn't too hot on the theme. The whole angels and demons thing doesn't really tickle me. I would have actually preferred a general fantasy theme to it or a general sci-fi theme. But they went with this like biblical theme. But that said, the gameplay was solid. And the gameplay was fun. But we have a ludicrous number of 2-player like war strategy games, don't we? And we have some where, like, as an example, with Battletech, I spend insane amounts of time just going over the strategies of picking one mech versus another and doing a whole series of videos on them. I'm not going to play this over Battletech. I probably wouldn't even play this over Battle Lore, which is still in our collection. I think I would play Battle Lore over this. And this is very similar to Battle Lore. Would you agree with that? It's got a very similar feel to Battle Lore. With the whole, like, the choke points, getting the King of the Hill kind of thing.
It's just, the movement is different.
Yeah, the movement is different. But, and I like this a lot. And I like it almost as much as Battle Lore, but not quite as much as Battle Lore, which is why it's on the Cull pile. Anything else you wanted to say on yourself on Angel Fury?
No. I did enjoy playing it, but like we're not going to choose it over other games. Yeah,
and that's just again, and you know what the thing is I think more so than any other Cull we've ever done, this Cull is full of games we actually liked. Because like a lot of our previous Culls, they're like, well, this was just meh. There's a couple of meh ones in here that we said, but most of these are games we actually liked. It's just that they're losing out to other games in our collection. So they're not going to make it to the table. But then, you know what? We're freeing up room for some other games that we are adding. Because that's the thing is, if you keep cycling games from your collection, you're going to improve the average quality of your collection. Because if games are being beaten out for their spots in your collection, you're eventually going to get to the point where there's no game on your shelves that's not a game that you're going to say, oh, I like that game. Right? I mean, you're not going to have one that you're just like, I just haven't bothered to get rid of it. And because of our constant cycling, I feel like we're getting to that point where it's actually getting really hard to do these culls because like all these are ones we actually enjoyed. Well, almost. There's a couple. Like I think there were maybe 2 where we were like they were meh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Other than that, there. Well, you said you didn't like Nitwit. I said meh on Gambit of Kings. But otherwise, most of these are actually quality games that other people will enjoy. Some of them are quite quality. Like Twilight Imperium 3rd Edition is phenomenal. If somebody gets their hands on that and plays it cheaply, like if we sell that to half price books and someone buys it, they're gonna have a hell of a time with that. It is super fun, but it's also last edition. Anything else you want to say on this call?
No.
Does that basically sum it up?
Yep.
All right. If you guys enjoyed this video, you'd like to see us do more in the future like it, be sure to give it a like. Share it on all forms of social media. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.